I'm calling the Working Committee of Council and Rules and Legislation to order for May 14th, 2026 at 6:16 p.m. If you have any electronic devices, please turn them off or put them on silent mode. Council Clerk, please take the roll call.
Councilman Jarmuscavage.
Present.
Council President Klein.
Present.
Councilman Connect.
Present.
Councilwoman Miller.
Present.
Councilwoman Sevo gave her regrets. Council Vice President Taylor Draper.
Present.
Councilwoman Velich.
We also have with us this evening City Engineer DeFranco, Finance Director Scott, and Law Director Kenny. We'll get right in then to our discussion items. I'm going to switch around the first two since we have representatives of the police force here with us this evening, and we don't want to keep them waiting. So we will start with Ordinance 2026-36036 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign any and all necessary documents to secure the purchase of a ballistic armored tactical transport armored rescue vehicle for the City Police Department from the Armored Group 5221 North Saddle Rock Drive, Phoenix, Arizona 85081 for the estimated purchase price of $381,140 and declaring an emergency.
And I'd like to start by asking Chief Negley if he would like to make a statement regarding this.
Sure, members of council, I do appreciate you having us here this evening. I've also brought with me an additional representative from the police department, Sergeant Shannon Vichet. The reason I brought Sergeant Vichet with me is he has some particular, I would call it, some subject matter expertise in matters like this. He is not only one of the trusted members of the command staff, but he's also the commander of the Western Lake County Emergency Response Team. He's done so for approximately the last 18 years. He's been a member of that team. So he comes with a vast wealth of knowledge and experience in this area, as well as some pretty deep-seated knowledge in vehicles like this, the needs for them, and how this is going to benefit not only our police department, but as well as our regional partners that we work with. We've talked about, for the better part of the last few years, we've talked about future needs of our SWAT team. And we've also talked about, the emerging threats that we're, currently seeing, not only in some local situations that we've had over the last few years, but on a national level. Goes without saying, some of the things that we've seen over the better part of the last decade or two in regards to mass casualty incidents, in particular relation to school-type settings. We've discussed our capabilities and readiness for situations that come up like this. So one of the things that our team does not have is a tactical vehicle like this. We consider that it is a necessity for us, not only that's going to benefit us, but also benefits our regional partners during deployments. We believe that we're in the position to make the purchase now without delaying an important capability upgrade. Regional cooperation works best when agencies contribute in different ways, whether through personnel, training, facilities, operational support, or equipment. And in this case, our contribution is providing this capability for the team as a whole. And I think we're making yet another important investment into the region to provide our law enforcement officers and our tactical team a significant piece of equipment that's not only going to contribute to their individual safety, but our officers as a whole, as well as the people that we're sworn to protect in the unfortunate circumstances that some sort of a mass casualty incident were to come up. This particular vehicle that we're looking at, again, is called the BAT, kind of a cool name, but it's the Ballistic Armored Tactical Transport Armored Rescue Vehicle. I did provide everybody here, I hope you've had a good opportunity to take a review of it. I provided a pretty comprehensive packet that not only lays out the specifications for the vehicle, but it also, there's I'm sure you've had an opportunity to see the voice support that we've received from every school superintendent for the districts that our regional team serves, but as well as the area chiefs of police who think that this is, a great, again, another great investment into, our regional partners and the, working together. I guess at this point, I would ask that if you have any particular questions about this or needs or the capabilities of it, I would just open it up to you for questions. I understand that this is a significant purchase for us, but, in discussions with the mayor and in discussions with the finance director, that we do believe that we're in a position to take on this purchase. So I'll open it up to questions for anybody for either myself or Sergeant Fauché. If I defer to him, it's just because I don't want to be the guy acting like I have the answer. I'd rather just go straight to the source with the guy that has the solid knowledge base on it. Thank you.
I'll open up for any questions, comments by council.
Mr. President,
Councilman Jeremy Scavage.
I had a question. How many, I realize the need for these vehicles, but how many instances have there been in the last, say, 10 years where they would have been required to be used?
I don't have that number for you, unfortunately. There are multiple incidences. I'm not a mic guy, sorry. There's been multiple incidences that we have required armor. There'd be many more incidences that we would use them had we had it, but unfortunately, we don't have it readily available to us.
How many of these vehicles are currently in the county area being in use?
In the county, there are two that I'm aware of, which would be Lake County SWAT team, which consists of Lake County's own armor, and then Geauga County providing a second piece of armor.
And as far as the, maintenance, we would be responsible for the maintenance, the storage, and the upkeep of it? Or would that be kept somewhere where anyone could use it?
So this would be housed with the city of Willoughby Hills. This would be our piece of equipment. We would be responsible for the service of it. We did have a meeting about a week ago, the mayor and I and Sergeant Fauché, and Tom Abate, our city mechanic, was part of that conversation. He had an opportunity to review the specs on the vehicle, and he stated that this, Tom is Tom. Everybody knows him here. He said that this would not be an issue for him handling the maintenance on it. I'm also confident that with our existing budget that we have for vehicle maintenance, we'll be able to absorb that in. It's essentially, the armored vehicle is built on the chassis of a Ford F600 diesel engine, and Tom said he's has very in-depth, intimate knowledge of that engine, and he doesn't feel like it's going to be a problem for him to maintain at all. Additionally, it would be fair to surmise that the maintenance costs for the first several years will be very, very minimal, just because of the nature of the number of deployments that you would expect for it to have, as well as, just basic, oil change type stuff. It really isn't that heavy of a lift. There also is a 24-month bumper-to-bumper unlimited mileage warranty that comes with the vehicle. One of the things I wanted to respond to a little bit is you brought up a good point of, the number of deployments, how many times, do we need this type of thing? And I do think that that's an important question, and it's a fair question. But also, we try to look at things not necessarily in terms of that, but, it only takes literally one instance where you need it and you don't have it, that, you're going to face at minimum, negative scrutiny. And at the worst, you're potentially, risking injury or death from not having a piece of equipment that, if you'd otherwise would have had, could have helped prevented that. A lot of times when you talk about armored transport, tactical type vehicles, you simply think about the capabilities and you think about the SWAT team members that are in there, but it's also a rescue vehicle. I mean, you're talking about something that has the ability to breach walls, breach doors that they use to extract victims with. I mean, an integral part, anytime you've ever seen anything that's involved a mass casualty incident, particularly in a school, you know, you're always going to see those vehicles being utilized for extracting victims, for creating movable barricade type situations. So, you know, and then the second part of the question that you had brought up was in regards to, well, how many of these are in the area? And there are times that we have relied upon them for mutual aid, but you're looking at extended periods of time that another team can go through a page out, get its personnel together, get to the vehicle to where it needs to be. You know, you're looking at, you know, 30 minutes to an hour at minimum before that gets there. If you have immediate access by our team, you know, you're cutting down those response times dramatically. Not to mention the fact that, you know, our officers here would also be trained, you know, in terms of operation of the vehicle and getting it to a scene so that at minimum it could act as a command post of sorts, an incident command post. So I hope that maybe provided a little bit more.
Yeah, I was curious though, like, the vehicle would be the city of Willoughby Hills. Would it be manned and operated by Willoughby Hills Police, or will the county SWAT team be in charge of it, or?
A little bit of, I guess I would say both, but I'll let Sergeant Fauché kind of speak to how the regional SWAT team works.
So the majority of it would be handled by the city of Willoughby Hills and our officers.
Speak into your microphone.
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Thank you.
It would be managed by the city of Willoughby Hills. However, the regional team, depending on members of the team, some members would be selected to also be a part of that and have access to it. Nobody would use it without my authority to use it, or the chief, his authority.
How is the liability of our officers going to other cities? Is that, I know sometimes there's mutual aid going from city to city to help out, but are they covered? Is there any like insurance or any issues of liability of our officers being in another city?
So both through the SWAT team and both through our agency to agency relationships, we do have mutual aid agreements that cover all those types of things.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilwoman Miller.
what type and extensiveness of the training do you foresee, and what kind of cost would that be as well?
For utilizing the vehicle itself, I don't believe there are probably some schools that you could go to learn how to properly or possibly utilize the vehicle, but this is a training that will be done in-house with the SWAT team and its members. A lot of this will be conducted monthly. We already conduct monthly trainings, so during those monthly trainings, it would be incorporated, the training with the vehicle itself. So to answer your question, there would be no additional cost for that.
Okay, and then as far as that safety of a unit like that on a scene, I know it does a lot to protect and be able to go in, but the movement of it and the safety of others that might be around it, with it not hitting somebody or something like that.
Yeah, there'd be no different than utilizing any other of the vehicles that we have access to and we deploy from. We have multiple undercover type vehicles that we use, panel vans that we use, none of which are ballistic protected. This vehicle is no bigger than a large SUV, it's just heavier. So there are some blind spots, but there are also multiple personnel with radio communication and exterior personnel that helps facilitate us not running into things that we're not supposed to.
Council President,
Councilwoman Bellish.
thanks for being here and for explaining some of this. A couple of things. When I did a search on this vehicle, I looked to better understand what it's made of, and I understand it's the Ford, and I understand the chassis, and that all makes sense to me. Some of what I read indicated that there might need to be more than a mechanic who's used to working on trucks, day-to-day trucks and vehicles. I know that our mechanic works on more specialized vehicles here within the city. So is there education for this this particular individual that's going to be working on this vehicle, that's going to do ongoing maintenance, and does that come directly from the manufacturer?
I don't totally have the answer for that question. I'm sure there is something out there. I do not know of it as of now.
Okay.
I would say this, though, if there were an issue, so, again, the chassis is the chassis, which again, Tom went over the specs on it and said that this really wasn't a heavy lift for him, no pun intended. But in terms of the equipment that's on it, because it's manufacturer specific, just like any equipment that we have, if we have, there's certain things that, for example, Sergeant Fache could work on a rifle because he's a certified armorer, but there may be more in-depth equipment on that specific rifle that would require us to get assistance from the manufacturer itself. It would be no different than with this vehicle. We could reach out to the armored group if need be. They're not that far. The facility's just over the border into Michigan, where the assembly and distribution point is for it. So I don't really see that being really any problem at all in terms of that. So, the armor group does come with they have a pretty notable history. If you've looked through the packet, they do work with the Defense Department, Department of Homeland Security, nations globally, nations across the globe, other law enforcement agencies around the country. There are some departments around Ohio that have that specific vehicle, notably two off the top of my head, Guernsey County and Marion, I believe. Marysville. Marysville, actually, they were involved in an incident where someone opened fire on them inside the vehicle, and it showed what it was worth, and they were protected. There was no injuries, and the vehicle did perform superbly to what it was supposed to do, and there were lives saved.
I just have a few more questions, if that's okay, if I just kind of go
Go
through
ahead.
my questions. Insurance. So it's a very irregular vehicle is what I would say. So can you speak to what the insurance is going to be and how that's going to add to what it is our normal course of insurance payments are going to be, and what it's going to do for a budget,
Yeah,
purposes?
that's a great question that I don't have a total answer for you to right now, but our entire city fleet is covered under the same insurance through USI, through our, the rate that we have across the board. And that goes from the smallest drone that we have all the way up to the ladder truck. And my understanding is, at least, is that scale is, my understanding is that this would not greatly increase what the premium would be on that, but I could get back to you the number. But I mean, it's nothing that's going to greatly increase expenses that go on the city insurance. Because again, at the end of the day, it's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle with a lot of specialized things going on, like it's
Sure.
housing, obviously, weapons and additional items. And I would assume, and that's my next question, when it's stored, I mean, this vehicle is not in use and it's being stored, will this require special storage? Because I'll assume that you're leaving certain things inside of the vehicle so that it's prepared. It's the readiness piece to it. So does it need special storage? Will we need to spend money to keep it in a location or in a place that's safe and a place where we don't have to worry about break-ins or people becoming involved with it that really shouldn't be?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in terms of storage, it'll be stored here on city property. Temporarily, it would be stored on city property at a location to be determined. My guess is we would probably seek some assistance from Mark in the short term. But with the expansion and the renovations that are being planned for the police department, we do have an extension on the garage that's within that plan, that this vehicle fits well within the specs as far as fitting into the garage, and it would be stored here on site on the police department off the what's going to be the site of the new Sally Port off the jail.
So then it's safe to say that what's currently scheduled to occur, assuming that the police department renovations move forward, it's allotted for, it's accounted for, and we'll be okay with that?
Yes.
Without additional add-on to that plan?
Correct, that's correct.
Okay,
And if I may elaborate, there would be no weapons stored in this vehicle.
okay,
It would be a vehicle used as an armored, protected vehicle. All weapons and munition kind of thing is stored with the individuals on the team because they need it more so than the vehicle would need it. So there'd be no sense to store those kind of things within the vehicle.
if you could speak into the mic just a touch more, that would be, thank you, I know.
You said that
I know.
more.
Thank you. So hopefully it never will have to be used, but if it were used and there's damage to it. So we talked about a 24-month warranty, bumper-to-bumper warranty, it will be insured. There's obviously some cost involved, windshield, I read a little bit about that, and it's bulletproof, and tires, of course, are always another concern when it comes to vehicles that are involved in off normal road circumstances and patterns. So I think about that, and I think about the money that's involved there potentially to fix it. So in talking about insurance and talking about storage and talking about ongoing maintenance, even beyond the 24 months, if there are other communities that are capable of using this, which is great, no issue with that, and if it's only one school that's protected, that's great, that's wonderful. It's not about the volume. I guess my question is, I'm happy that it's here to serve other communities, but where is there any give back from the other communities? What is their skin in the game, or what is their process in terms of being involved on the money side of ensuring that this piece of equipment is well taken care of and ongoing and able to be used?
That's a great question. So over the course of the history of the SWAT team, this would not be the first piece of equipment that was obviously purchased for it. They're like Sergeant Fichet volunteered to you. They have a tactical van that they use that was purchased by another city. Willoughby has an additional SWAT transport vehicle that was purchased by Willoughby. There's drones that were purchased by certain communities. So everyone's kind of collectively contributed things at certain times. Willoughby Hills, not necessarily as much as they have over the course of the years. With that, I'm not saying that, that we necessarily owe something to any of the communities. But with that said, there's always been, and Sergeant Fichet can correct me if I'm wrong, there has been cost sharing that's gone on when things have come up, when issues have happened with equipment, when things have happened with the MRAP vehicle that they currently have right now. Generally what happens is the chiefs get together from the communities, and they figure out a way and collectively come together to bring solutions. So I don't see this as being something that would fall solely on the shoulders of Willoughby Hills for this vehicle for the life of it. Because again, it is a regional team, and with that comes responsibility of being a contributing partner on that team. So as a matter of fairness and reasonableness, I think it's fair to say that the communities would kick in where need be in the event that something were to come up. And I can't imagine that there would be a chief around the region that would tell me any differently than that.
So not really knowing how that cost sharing works with some of the other equipment that you just mentioned, is there some sort of a memo of understanding that occurs that is sent out, and all of the local communities that could potentially be involved in sharing that would sign off on and agree to, so that we know that wherever that cost sharing we would hope for, that would be involved?
I believe there's already something established with the team and the contributing members of the team, or cities of the team.
Okay. And then, can we talk about the money and from where the money is coming from? So when I read a little bit about the vehicle, well, I see that depending on what you choose and the add-ons that you put onto this vehicle, it can run anywhere in cost from the mid $200,000 range all the way up to the lower $300,000 range, which is what I read. And granted, this was online, not AI, but it was online. And I did look at their website, the manufacturers, their website, and what it is that they offer in terms of marketing. So this is $381,000, so it's a little higher, significantly higher than that lower $300,000. So the choices that were made with regard to how this is being built, can you speak to that and where the additional money came into play and the reason for that?
So Sergeant Fichet was working directly with the representative from the Armored Group on this. He's working with him over the last several weeks on this, discussing what basically best practice options that other SWAT teams are utilizing from this. And when I spoke to Sergeant Fichet about this, coming from the place that I come from, of trying to be reasonable in terms of budgeting and needs versus wants and this, that, and the other, my directive was I wanted to stay on the side of we need to stay as reasonable with this as we can, but I don't want to pass by any of the needs that we would need to have for this. We don't want to shortcut something. But with that, I'm not saying that whatever it is that you researched online was inaccurate, but based upon the comparables that I've seen from other cities and comparable manufacturers are based on the specs that we got on this, it still fell significantly short of a competitor brand, which is Lenco. They make the Lenco Bearcat. It was significantly less. It was like $40,000 cheaper than just their base model. So we were starting significantly higher in price without any options if we were to look at the other major manufacturer of it.
Okay, and then lastly, the funding to cover this, the $381,000, from where is that coming?
So I'd like Bruce to talk on this a little bit, but when we started the program with the photo enforcement, one of the areas that we were conducting in was specific to school zone enforcement. In the Ohio Revised Code, it specifies that funds that are derived from school zone enforcement are to be used towards school safety, public safety efforts. And so my feeling, and in discussing this with the mayor and Bruce, is this fell right within that because it's directing, it's contributing directly to the safety of our officers. It's contributing directly to the safety of students and school personnel, churches, things of that nature in the event of a mass casualty type incident. Not to say that this vehicle is not going to be used for other type of tactical incidents. We're not going to say, no, we're not going to use this because it's not directly related to this. But I think it's more than fair to say that this piece of equipment does have a direct impact on school safety type matters. And again, if you have the opportunity to review your packets again, you'll see in there that the school superintendent certainly agreed on that aspect of it.
I saw that, and I'm sure that they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I answer enough on that? Was there
Yeah,
anything?
you did, and I did note that there are additional places where it can be used, and I thought maybe that was the add-on dollars that were there, because it sounds like it can be used in reading your packet for tornado circumstances, flooding, things that can happen within our region that are nature-driven, that aren't necessarily a school.
Yeah, that's kind of built into it, but I'd actually like Sergeant Fichet to talk to you a little bit about the options that are on that and what some of those additional costs, because you could order this as just a shell, you know what I mean? But you're not going to get the emergency lighting package. You're not going to get some of the other, I guess you'd call it, equipment on there that would otherwise, wouldn't be there or accessible and contribute to what it is that these guys have to do when they're out there. So if you could kind of talk maybe a little bit about the, the RAM system and whatnot that's
The
on
major
there.
cost increase really revolves around the RAM system. This vehicle is the only vehicle in the market that allows you to move a RAM upwards and sideways. There's others that you're able to move it, you just can't move it to the extent that this one can. Also, from that same system, we have put in the options the ability to be able to introduce gas into a structure using the RAM itself, so without putting anybody within danger angles from whatever structure, we can puncture through a door, a window, some sidings of houses or the side of certain structures, and then introduce gas from a safe position. That is where the majority of the cost of the upgrades have gone to. But as the chief said, there's emergency lighting, there's radio features, intercom features, typical things that we would need on any given operation that it would be involved in.
That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Council President?
Council Vice President.
Just a couple of questions, and I want to make sure I'm clear. You're saying that there are other supplies, equipment that you utilize, that our department, our city utilizes, that was purchased by some of the neighboring cities, correct? Is that, did I understand that correctly? So if East Lake has a certain piece of equipment that we need, they let us use it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is not unusual for police departments within our city area to use other supplies that was purchased, that is being purchased by that particular department.
Within reason, yes. There's certain items that are unique items that maybe one department may not have that we may draw from to get access to for an asset to us. There's other things that they have used or they have purchased that the team itself uses as a whole, but not necessarily we're not going to draw from East Lake to get a shield to come to Willoughby Hills because we have our own. We're looking at specific items that are purchased that not everybody has. And to this point would be an armored vehicle or a type of drone or maybe even a search robot, which Wycliffe has. So those types of items.
So was there any other city that wanted to purchase this also? And we just got ahead of the game, or how was it decided that Willoughby Hills is purchasing this?
Well, this issue was brought forward, quite frankly, by Willoughby Hills. I mean, this is something that the teams have talked about for a long time, but the financial capabilities of the cities to be able to do this just, isn't there, quite frankly. But it doesn't negate the fact that it's a need. And so we felt, given the circumstances and the funding that's available there, and which has to be directed towards a very specific area, we felt like we were in a very unique position to make, albeit a very significant contribution, but a valuable contribution that's going to benefit not only us, not only our schools and our residents, but our regional partners.
Okay. And to be clear, will all of our officers be trained to use this vehicle, or some officers?
Probably some, not all.
So describe the scenario to me. So there's a school shooting somewhere. The call comes in and you guys go, right? You're hoping that the guys trained on it are on duty. So how does that work? Like, how do you?
There would be a good number of them trained. I just would not blanketly say that all officers will be trained on it.
Okay.
Have access to it.
And you go to the school shooting and the vehicle is damaged beyond some repair. That's totally on us, even though we're going to another city to help a situation. Are we totally, is it on us to repair the vehicle, or is it our insurance takes over? What happens?
So I would say, I can't foresee a situation because we're not operating in and I'm not minimizing the question at all. I'm just saying that we don't operate in a war zone type environment that would affect this vehicle beyond repair. I can't really foresee a situation that would happen. This has run flat tires. It's a heavily armored vehicle up to National Institute of Justice standards. I mean, these vehicles are built to be shot at and withstand, taking, heavy fire, quite frankly. So, even if another vehicle tried to ram it, the other vehicle is going to be the one that bears the brunt of it, not this vehicle. I mean, it's built specifically for this type of thing. I would say things that could come up that we could say, hey, there's an issue with the lighting system or something like that, and it needs to be repaired years down the line. We'd like to see if our regional partners can each kick in, whatever that might be, $1,000 a piece to get the lighting system fixed on it or something. Those are going to be the situations that you see, come to pass with that.
Okay. And one last question. How long have you guys been researching this and trying to determine the kinds of vehicle that you need and the kind of, the extras that you need to put on the vehicle. How long have you been researching, asking questions, going through this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sergeant Fauchet's this has been a topic of, this has been a hot topic of Sergeant Fauchet's for, I would say, the better part of years. But again, it's been a matter of feasibility for something like this. When we started discussing this several months back and the possibility that this could be something, he put his foot on the gas a little bit to do some more looking into, but he's done a fair amount of research. I mean, he's spoken with departments. They have a very good networking group of SWAT teams, both around the area, throughout Ohio and throughout the nation, that they it's like any sort of networking group. As far as finding out about these types of equipment and specifications and really being in the know and having a broad knowledge base on it. So, and that's why I brought him along, because I really didn't want to speak out of turn on something when he kind of has the know-how behind it.
I guess I just wish that we were made aware of this prior to, so that we could have kind of been following along. It's just a lot of information to digest and absorb and kind of try to understand. We pretty much just got our paperwork less than a week ago. So to try to, research and understand and get through all of this, plus giving our residents the opportunity to understand it too, this is a large purchase. Mm-hmm. And it would have just helped if we had, if we were involved in the process a little bit more, walked through it and kind of introduced it to us, when you were kind of seriously thinking of pursuing it, so that we, we're not bombarded with a lot of information to read and understand and ask questions. And Lord knows I may have questions after this meeting. So
Sure.
It's just a lot. I just wish we would have been kind of walked along a little bit versus just hit with this like a week ago.
Yeah, and look, that's fair. I mean, your position is more than fair. Again, this isn't something that we talked about before the beginning of the budget year. This is something that we've talked about for a long time. Didn't really know whether or not something like this would necessarily be feasible. I had had some discussions with both the finance director and the mayor on, going back quite some time on what are some good positive ways that we could use the funds through the school zone enforcement that would fall within the parameters of it, and contribute to the greater safety of the police department and the schools. And, quite frankly, this was one that was developed relatively recently. Discussed it again with the mayor and Bruce and Sergeant Fauchet and some other members of the command staff. And that's, quite frankly, that's how it, came to pass. Right. With relatively short notice to you. There was no sort of, I don't want there to be any sort of indications that somehow this was, trying to be sprung on you as some sort of a surprise or anything like that. Albeit it is, coming as a surprise, as a surprise to you, but it is certainly with the best of intentions. And mm-hmm. Look, we're available for any questions as long as the members of council see fit. This is nothing that we're trying to. I do understand the importance of reasonableness and the understanding of the spending of city funds towards things. I understand that this is a large investment. But it is a significant investment, again, that has, as I've stated before, many benefits. This is a multi-decade vehicle. This will last for multi-decades. And that's a pretty significant thing. You can't say that about most everything it is that we purchase out there.
How much training with your officers need to occur before it's active? Before you're like, okay, we're ready to roll with it now? How much training, how much time is going to be dedicated to that before it's like ready to go?
It would be very minimal just to get it going, because again, it's just a large SUV.
Okay.
We have maneuvered in large armored vehicles before, we just have not owned one ourselves.
I see.
So we have experience working with them and being around them.
Okay. Thank you, Council President.
Chief, what's the timing on this purchase?
Well, that depends. not to give you the lawyer answer, the big depends answer, but it depends. It depends on when the orders go in for this. So they work based on a queue. So there are pending potential orders right now that is a pretty significant number. I want to say there's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50.
Yeah, Border Patrol is waiting for funding to purchase 50 of these vehicles.
Yeah, so Border Patrol, Department of Homeland Security, and there's also there's a nation abroad that's also looking at making a significant purchase for a number of these. And basically, it's where you fall within the queue. Where we're at right now, if an order were to be placed, within the week, our understanding, at least from the representative from the Armored Group, is we're early enough on that we could get on a build schedule as early as November. But if tomorrow or next week or in 2 weeks, the Department of Homeland Security comes forward and, says we're ready to purchase 50 of these, that's probably going to kick us back, I would say at minimum a year, 2 years maybe.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
so I hate to give the answer of it depends, but that's just the reality of it.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman Bellish.
so it's a 50% down upon order, is what I read, is that right? So
That's the preferred.
Right.
If you see on there, it says that's their preferred method of doing it, but we had discussions with them, and you see the mayor shaking its head. We told them that we're not doing that.
with that kind of timeline.
Right. We would place the order, and more likely than not, it would be a pay upon delivery.
Cash on delivery. That's what I
Yeah.
told
Okay,
them.
COD, sure, and that makes sense to me. And then just, you made me think of this. How is it delivered? Do we have to go get it? Will they deliver it? Because I don't think that delivery was included. That's-
Delivery is not included. They
Yeah.
can include it, but
Sure.
you're looking at a significant delivery fee.
Sure.
But the way we saw it is it's just over the border in Michigan where the bill would take place. We travel there and we would get it. And that would give us the opportunity to break it in a little bit on the drive back to the Cleveland area.
I volunteered.
Oh. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Council President,
Mr. Scott?
just to reiterate, so the way that the way that the photo enforcement works, it's broken down into two. There's handheld and then there's fixed location. Fixed location, which is the school zones, the state requires that money, they do some pulling and then re-giving of the money from local government fund. And when we get the money back from the state, that is stipulated that money has to be used for school safety purposes. So we have a certain amount of money that's already been segregated within safety forces. In round numbers, it's $450,000 that will be in there at the end of this month. That number will continue to go up. By this time next year, it'll be 525, 550 conservatively. So again, that money has to be spent for this specific purpose, and we feel that this vehicle would meet that purpose.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman Bellish?
how quickly is the turnaround on that money? What's the requirement for it to actually be taken out of our general fund or from wherever it comes?
We have the money sitting in the safety forces now, so, ask your question again, I'm sorry.
So to be used specifically for something such as this, for schools and school safety, based on that money that we would typically be getting back from the state that we really technically won't be because of those photo enforced citations that are occurring in the school zones, how quickly do we have to spend it in order to be within compliance?
There's no limitation that I'm aware of.
So you can sit on it for a while. Do you have to, okay, that's enough. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other questions, comments, we'll move on. I want to thank the representatives from the police department for coming in this evening, and you don't have to stay for the rest of this.
All right.
Thank you.
I appreciate everybody for having us here tonight. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
We will move then back to the starting point with ordinance 2026-035 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending Section 1 of Ordinance 2026-01 to comply with state budgetary laws requiring municipalities to maintain positive account balances throughout the year, repealing conflicting legislation, and declaring an emergency.
Now, this is a repetitive type ordinance that comes up now and then. Mr. Scott, is there anything you would like to comment on at all about this?
This is mainly in response to the collective bargaining agreements and the raises we went through last meeting. When I calculated initially, I was thinking the number was going to be in the 578,000 range, and we're coming in at 538, 542, so it's a little under what I had thought. And as Council President said, it's just revising the budget to send to the county for approval.
Any questions, comments on this ordinance? All right, we'll move on then to item 3, Resolution 2026-005 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution declaring the month of May as Older Ohioans Month in the city of Willoughby Hills.
And this resolution is similar to the ones that have been passed in the past, declaring May as Older Ohioans Month. Each year there's a different theme. This is health care this year. Any questions, comments by anyone on the dais? All right, we will then move on. Next is Resolution 2026-006 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to establish an insured cash sweep account with Huntington National Bank and declaring an emergency.
And just for those that may not be familiar with this, a cash sweep account, be it people on the dais, people attending here or watching or listening. Mr. Scott, could you just quickly explain how this works?
Absolutely. Thank you, Council President. So just a bit of background. I'm trying to figure out better ways to utilize the city's money that's sitting idle, try to get as best a return as we can. I've talked to numerous banks. We're very limited as far as what we can and cannot invest in, obviously. So Huntington has a product which essentially it's an automatic. You determine how much money you want in your base operating account, and then everything else above and beyond that will sweep, hence the name, into this overriding account. You get significantly better interest on the sweep account, and then you're able to pull money down, move it back and forth very easily. One of the things that I do now is we use Star Ohio for better interest, but that requires a transfer from Huntington to Star Ohio, and everyone does online banking, but when you're doing it in $1 million tranches, I feel always a little better when it's in-house instead of going across the internet. So this will just allow convenience, safety, and a better rate of return.
Any questions, comments regarding this resolution? All right. We'll move on then. Next item, Resolution 2026-007, first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to establish a certificate of deposit account registry service with Huntington National Bank and declaring an emergency.
And I would ask Finance Director Scott if he would comment on this resolution.
The same concept as the sweep account, but this is, again, it's a traditional CD within Huntington. Everything is transferred from, inside the bank. This would obviously lock the money down for a longer period of time, but we obviously get better rate of return. My goal, as per my memo, is try to put the money that's in Star Ohio, put it into these things, so that way it's all within Huntington. We would mirror the rate of return that we're getting at Star, and again, it would allow flexibility with moving money back and forth.
Any questions, comments on this resolution? All right. We'll move on then to the next, Resolution 2026-008 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution declaring the official intent and reasonable expectation of the City of Willoughby Hills on behalf of the State of Ohio, the borrower, to reimburse its road improvements fund for the LAK SR 174 resurfacing with proceeds of tax-exempt debt of the state of Ohio and declaring an emergency.
And once again, I would ask Finance Director if he could comment on this.
So the River Road recycling, resurfacing, we're getting money from ODOT. I'm sorry, we're getting money from OPWC. Yep. So they're giving us a $150,000 grant, and they're allowing us a $50,000 loan. If for some reason the 150,000, if it's less than 200, we can still take the full $50,000 as the loan to apply against the cost. The reason we would do that, it's zero interest, so they're essentially giving us free money. We might as well take it if we can.
Any questions, comments on this resolution? All right. Moving on. Next is Resolution 2026-009 on first reading. Council Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the city of Painesville to allow Painesville to benefit from the trash service contract that Willoughby Hills has with Major Waste and declaring an emergency.
And on this one, I would like to ask if either the mayor or Mr. Scott would like to comment on what's involved here.
Well, so I may require a little bit from the law director on this, but Ohio law, as I understand it, and we've been approached on this before when we did our trash contract before, allows other municipalities to, instead of going out to bid for a new service of some kind, in this case trash, they can utilize an existing contract of a municipality, a nearby municipality, and go ahead and make an agreement to abide by the same contract with a specific company. In this case, Major Waste, which you all should take that as a compliment that we did such a good job with going with Major Waste that another community said, look, we don't even want to go out to bid. This is really nice, a really good deal, and the service. And of course, we have had, to my knowledge, we have had zero complaints about Major Waste, and anything that has been received has been immediately taken care of by Major Waste, so their customer service has been fantastic. So basically, they're just, this has to be approved, just saying, we acknowledge that you want to use it, we're fine with you taking advantage of the contract that we have. So it doesn't cost us anything. It's goodwill to a neighboring community, if you sort of. And actually what they told me is that our contract will actually save their residents a little bit compared to what they currently have. So that's what this is.
Any,
How do I do, Law Director? Kenny.
Mr. Kenny?
You did well. Yes. So basically, this was a legislative enactment that would allow cities to bypass the bidding process and streamline some of their operations. It's a cost-saving measure. And again, you're doing it with neighboring communities or near neighboring communities so that they can get the benefit of the contract and the bidding process. They can, like I said, take advantage of that without having to go out on their own and do that. So.
Council President?
Council Vice President.
So the same costs that Willoughby Hills pays, Painesville would be paying?
Their residents, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And is Major Waste under any obligation to accept this because it's a law, or is it just,
Yeah,
they're
yes.
under
but
an obligation to say,
yes.
we'll accept those same terms
Major
from
Waste
you?
is happy about this.
Okay,
So yes, because they're expanding their business.
okay.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions, comments? All right, we'll move on. Next item, Council Clerk, please read the number 8.
Motion authorizing the Clerk of Council to confirm with the Ohio Department of Commerce, Division of Liquor Control, that no objection and need for hearing is requested by the city regarding Persimmon Lane, LTD 2749B, Psalm Center Road, Willoughby Hills, Ohio 44094, under transaction number OCT new 10015776-1.
Any questions, comments on this motion?
Council President,
Councilwoman Miller.
I'm kind of interested in exactly what business this is. This is a new name for me.
Council President?
Mr. DeFranco.
So this is a new business. The owner and operator is a Willoughby Hills resident. She is a interior designer, excuse me. And this will be a vintage furniture resale shop. And also she'll be offering her consulting services for interior design. And she wants to offer wine and mimosas as people shop.
Very nice. Thank you for the explanation.
Interesting.
Any other questions, comments on this? All right, we'll move on then to our public portion. An opportunity for the public to address council concerning anything pertaining to tonight's agenda. I will open public portion at 7:11 p.m.
Hi, Jenna Bing, 36951 Beach Hills Drive. You know, I want to, this goes under the category of like transparency, being very straightforward, which I know you all want to do. So you all were very clear about the salary adjustments of 3.6% this year and then 3.5 and 3.5 for all of the union and non-union people. Great. But what was not, and I went back and listened, what was not ever mentioned was that every single employee gets a $3,000 bonus this year. That is like $180,000 that's being spent. And I'm not saying it's not necessarily a good thing, but the fact that you all didn't ever talk about it or mention it or give a reason why this was happening is a little disturbing to me. And you call it a signing bonus. Is that like because they signed their new contracts? I was very confused. I like the vehicle. Don't take this personally against the vehicle. But one of the ways to justify it was said that there were 4 schools in Willoughby Hills. Cornerstone Christian, yes. School of Innovation, yes. Education Alternatives, yes. And something called Commercial Academy. And I looked up Commercial Academy Willoughby Hills, and it's Mr. Shields' training courses on how to do investment in commercial real estate. And he didn't even have a location. He does them as special events. So that's like, you know, we don't need that kind of stuff in there. And it doesn't really say thank you for clarifying that the money is coming from the school tickets. That's great. The other thing in that is motorcycle. I saw it in the newsletter that we were buying a motorcycle. I think that's a fine idea. We probably need a motorcycle cop. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm wondering if anyone on council even knew that we were buying a motorcycle until you saw it in the newsletter. Because I asked and Nick knew nothing about it. And I was like, how did this get approved? Because the American approved it $25,000. This was 35, 38, something like that. And it doesn't have to go to bid until it hits like 50 or 70. But surely somebody else has to approve this. And I'd be really curious to know who else approved this and did people really know about it? It's not a big expense, but all other vehicles go forward for this. The other thing I have is just being smart with our money. We have a budget surplus. We need a rainy day fund. I'm not arguing that at all, but it needs to be a reasonable amount. And so I looked online, and Ohio has a rule for school districts that they cannot carry more than 40% of operating budget for rainy day fund. Our general fund rainy day fund now is 67%. So we are way above what they allow schools even, and they are probably at a little sketchier way of doing their finances. And I would like to understand why it's so high. Why can't some of it be refunded?
Thank you.
And can we move forward on that? Thank you.
Anyone else for public portion? And please let me state, and I should have stopped Ms. Bing, this public portion is related to what's on the agenda. You were weaving in and out of working committee agenda. So anyone else coming up, stick to what's on the working committee agenda.
Jen Barrow, 2890 Som. I again, I guess I just have a couple of clarification questions. I think some really good questions were asked this evening on the discussion of this new vehicle. I'm just, I guess, curious with the way that the school system is set up and there's multiple cities involved. I guess why are we footing the bill? And is it because of this surplus of camera money we have and we're just kind of trying to find somewhere to spend it? And with that, I saw in the ordinance that there's really, that technically we should put it out to bid if it's over such a significant amount. And I know they said that they've talked to other manufacturers, but I guess maybe another manufacturer might be motivated. If they knew it was a bidding system, they might be a little bit more inviting to want to offer a better price if they knew they were involved in a bid system. And then I guess part of my other question with it is, in verifying that it's, if we're going to use it for school safety, hypothetically there's a mass shooting at the high-rise apartments or at Loman's. Is the vehicle allowed to be used there, or is it just strictly for school safety? Because I guess if you're justifying it as a purchase through that process and the camera, I don't know if it could be used for anything except school. And then I guess in just piggybacking that and trying to understand how to properly and responsibly spend that money, I know you said it's not really part of this discussion, but kind of food for thought would be to just keep digesting the fact of, like, now I guess we're trying to do driver's ed funding. So we have to kind of really think about, are we violating the rights of that camera money? I just want to make sure we don't get ourselves into a lot of trouble spending money that isn't justifiably being spent in the way it's deemed to be spent. Thank you.
Anyone else for public portion? I will close public portion at 7:17 PM, and I will ask if anyone would like to respond to anything said during public portion.
Members of council, Ms. Varro, just the one thing I would comment on is the going out to bid aspect of it. There is a specification within the packet that was provided. I don't know if you had an opportunity to review it, but there is, as it reads out in the Ohio Revised Code, there is a specification, a sole source justification. And this particular manufacturer is a sole source manufacturer of this piece of equipment specific to the equipment that it provides and the specifications that are in the vehicle. So because of that, because of the sole source justification, there is the, for lack of a better term, it bypasses the necessity to have to go out to bid for it. But with that said, this vehicle, again, based on the research that was conducted by Sergeant Vacher, still comes in at a significantly lower price point than its main competitor.
All right, Mr. Scott.
Signing bonuses were given to all full-time staff, not part-time staff, so not every staff member was provided that. As far as the collective bargaining agreements covered the majority of employees within the city. There were 7 or 8 employees that were not under the collective bargaining agreements that did get a signing bonus. So that number is 21,000 or 24,000, I can't remember which. It's a far cry from the 150 you mentioned.
Any other comments?
Council President?
Mr. Mayor?
Two things. One, while Mr. Shields Academy may be one you may not want to include, one that was missed, I think, is Little Light Learning Center, which is right here in Willoughby Hills at the Methodist Church. So there is another school that would be covered under this. As far as the motorcycle, yes, we don't have to go out for bid for that. It is over my spending limit, which is why the finance director, Council President Klein, was made aware of it and handled that. So that was handled properly, and I would assume that he probably educated the rest of council with regard to that purchase. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may add that it also was included in our budget for the year and was discussed at the council meetings about the reintroduction of the motorcycle unit when I presented to council on the budget earlier, I guess that would be earlier in the year.
Council President,
Councilwoman Miller.
I just wanted to note too that I know in some of the documentation that we've had go out, as far as the ordinances and things, I did remember seeing the signing bonus, reading about it as well. So it is there somewhere. It's not like it wasn't brought up at all.
Any other response? All right, we'll move on then to legislation. And I will ask if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns about the wording in any of the ordinances or resolutions included herein. All right, hearing nothing, then the chair will accept a motion to adjourn the working committee.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Bellish, second from Councilwoman Miller, to adjourn this evening's working committee of council on rules and legislation. Council clerk, please take the roll call.
Councilman Jarvis-Gavage,
Yes.
Council President Klein,
Yes.
Councilman Connect,
Yes.
Councilwoman Miller,
Yes.
Council Vice President Taylor Draper,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bellich.
Yes.
Working Committee of Council on Rules and Legislation for May 14th, 2026 is adjourned at 7:21. The regular council meeting will start at 7:25.